All right. Ba-boom. Hey there, YouTube. How's it going? Goon here, coming at you guys again with episode 8 in my acronym review series. This time going over the J43-K, a very cool jacket. If you guys want to see more of these acronym reviews, as always, stay tuned, subscribe, whatever. The J43-K is a cool jacket. It's part of the Acronym Mean collaboration, and it's an iteration that was basing itself off of the already popular, the already really cool J43. So I want to get into all the specifics and details of this jacket, what makes it a little bit different from normal acronym fabrication, as this is using Neiman's fabrication. While this jacket isn't necessarily as detail rich as the J79TS, my last video, it still has a lot of details to it, so I'm going to be getting into all the quirks, features, and functions. And then on top of that, I'm also going to be getting into the overall pros and cons of the jacket, as well as how I will style it. So just a little bit of a full package, as always, the normal stuff that we're getting used to at this point. So without further ado, let's get into the J43-K. So a brief history on the J43. It's had 3 kind of like full iterations that have been released via the acronym catalog. The very first one that came out was the J43-GT that was in 2014. It was pretty much this exact jacket right here, just in a Gore-Tex Pro shell. The jacket to come out after that was in 2016, and that was the J43A GT, which is one of the most popular acronym jackets there are. It's pretty much this thing on steroids in terms of details and functions. And then the final iteration of the J43 to come out was this one right here, which is the J43-K. This version of the jacket came out in the spring-summer of 2016, so this was just before the release of the J43A GT, being in the following fall-winter 2016 collection. And with that in mind, the J43-K was a part of the wider Neiman collection, which I already mentioned. This collection had a multitude of different colorways of 2 jackets in particular, being the J28 and this J43. On top of that, there was also a couple of sweatshirts. Those had different suffixes that were related to the specific dyeing process and fabrication that Neiman used with their fabrics. The interesting thing about this entire collection was that when it initially came out, it was actually pretty lukewarm received. A lot of people within the techwear community, but just kind of at large when it comes to technical garments, weren't necessarily super hot on having a lot of very wildly colored jackets that were pretty much defying what the all black wardrobe of a lot of, prior techwear stuff was defined by having. So with that in mind, a lot of the items that were actually from this collection across all the boutiques that carried it ended up actually hitting sale, and that's very rare for an acronym item to do, is hit sales. And then the funny thing about that is that since this came out in 2017, the prices, which initially went down as people didn't want them and they hit sales, have started to slowly creep back up again with celebrity cosigns, as well as people just being interested in these more quirky, more rare pieces that take acronym silhouettes, but do them in this interesting, very nice fabrication that Neiman is known for doing. So with the brief history out of the way, we can get into what the actual acronym means. So J43-K, so that is J for jacket, 43, which is the 43rd jacket model that they've created, then K, which I think is unverified at this point, but we believe that K stands for Komatsu. And Komatsu is referential to the fact that in a lot of product descriptions for the jacket on Acronym site, as well as on some of the other boutique sites, they mentioned that this is using a 3-layer membrane that is a Japanese membrane. And so people believe that Komatsu could stand for the specific type of membrane that they utilized for this jacket, but it could also be referential towards the dyeing process. So there were 2 jackets that were a part of the whole Neiman collection, the J28 and the J43. And the J28 was the kind of wild child in terms of jackets. Like I was saying, there was a lot of colors and that type of thing. And you saw these with the J28 variants that were in this collection. The wild blue to green fades, the khaki to blue, the purple, the white to red. It was all pretty wild, whereas the J43 actually had much more toned down colorways in its lineup. There was a dust coloration, there was black, there was olive, and then there was this pistachio color, which was specific to Neiman's website. So this was only a version that you could get on Neiman's website, and I believe End as well. So never mind on that whole, you can only get it on Neiman's website. I'm pretty sure you could get it elsewhere, but pistachio was the kind of quirky color that they made with the 43K. So now that I've got the acronyms definition out of the way, I can get into the description of the jacket that is still findable on Neiman's website if you want to check it out yourself, but I'm going to have a description of it right over here as per usual. So without further ado, let me get into it. J43K, a hardshell object dyed 3L Interops jacket. Color outer, pistachio, and it's Gen 1. So like I was mentioning, there's the J43A GT, and then there was the J43 GT that came out ages ago. This didn't have any sort of updates in terms of the design, it just had a fabrication change, so it's still 1.0. Versus object. I probably butchered that. J43K is an experimental piece built in partnership with our friends at Acronym, a combination of Acronym design with Neiman materials and treatments. It fuses Acronym jutsu with made-in-Italy production processes and treatments. A lightweight 3L shell, WR, water resistant. It is object dyed, a process which results in each piece having slight imperfections and unique characteristics. J43 is an Interops jacket built on an all-new articulated fit block that is equal parts precision and release. A sculpted hood forms a shield-like collar when worn down, an element-defying funnel when worn up. Detached entry pockets sit flush with the SpeedLock Shockcord helm. Canted Interops Zipper, center front escape zipper, force lock, jacket sling, and sling-compatible interior pockets. And then in parentheses here, this item has been dyed and treated using special processes. The imperfections and irregularities present in its color and construction are intrinsic characteristics that increase its uniqueness and value and should not be considered flaws. Color migration may occur, shown in size medium fits profile. So yeah, it's a relatively interesting jacket, and I think that blurb at the very end about the dye and treatment is kind of what makes the jacket way different than other Acronym jackets. We'll be getting into that shortly. The one thing that I want to mention that they have here on the website is they have a fabrics technology tab, which kind of gives us a little bit of a lens into the actual makeup of the fabric. So that it's an object dyed 3-layer, and it's 60% PA, it's 29% PU, and it's 11% PL. So it's a like full poly jacket. It's waterproof, windproof, and breathable. And then it's object dyed and overdyed with pigments and DWR. So you get a little bit more extra water resistance because of the DWR treatment they gave it. Made in Italy with Japanese membrane. So that's where we believe that the whole K definition comes from: Komatsu, Japanese membrane, that kind of thing. So that's the description of the jacket, and with that out of the way, I kind of just wanted to throw my 2 cents into the fabrication of the jacket itself and kind of my opinion on it, having worn it and that kind of thing, before I get into all the details and functions. So like I mentioned, this jacket is a 3-layer waterproof membrane using this Japanese membrane and its object dyed quality. If you know Acronym, they tend to use a lot of Gore product as well as Stotts and a couple of other smaller different types of fabrications as well. If you're familiar with some of the Gore products, you know that there's the Pro Shell, there's the Packlight, there's 2.5 layer GTV, and more. But the other one that kind of sticks out is Gore-Tex Windstopper. And if there was any type of fabric that I had to kind of compare it to, even though this is very much its own thing, Gore-Tex Windstopper would be the thing I would compare it to. This jacket is incredibly light. It feels very much like a windbreaker or some type of light thing that you would pack up, and while it's not necessarily paper thin or anything along those lines, it definitely reminds me of a windbreaker or something of just a very light construction that I would wear for a summer day. And honestly, that's kind of what inspired me making this video in the first place, is because it's very summery out right now. The fabrication of the jacket has this incredibly subtle sheen to it, and the dyeing process amplifies this sheen by giving the jacket this really interesting texture that runs across the entire jacket. The thing is that this entire fabrication is really kind of set up some scrutiny for the jacket overall. It's really a love or hate jacket. Something that I'll probably bring up in the pros and cons at the very end of the video, but while this jacket is light and it has its breathable elements and it has a kind of nice quality to it that really sets it in the spring summer category, the fabric also has some downsides as well. The first glaring issue that I can think of is that this jacket stains incredibly easily. Now, while this might not necessarily matter with very minute things, and on this jacket, while it's pretty much well taken care of, I can definitely point out the stains. If you try and get something out of this Japanese membrane fabric, it can be really difficult to do so. So you can feel kind of like you're babying your jacket because you don't necessarily want to get it dirty, but at the very same time, if you kind of treat it like that wabi-sabi idea that I was talking about, and you let it get stained, let it get buffed in the right ways, I think it actually takes on a really cool quality, which we'll be getting into later as well. The other thing too is that the jacket, while it is light, doesn't necessarily have as much breathability as some other nylon or poly materials that you might get out of other companies per se. It is still a 3-layer membrane, so compared to other jackets that are just 1 layer or just some other light throwovers, the breathability isn't necessarily as great as those are. But that being said, I still can wear this out in 70 some odd degree weather and be okay. And the other thing you got to keep in mind, all Acronym jackets have the sling, so you can put that on as well. So that's the fabrication of the jacket, this 3-layer Japanese membrane. And now that I've got that out of the way, we can get into the relatively light but still very interesting details that make up the J43-K. So starting off at the top of the jacket, we have the thing that they brought out in the description, one of the most identifiable details of this jacket. It is the large funnel neck collar as well as hood. The funnel neck is very reminiscent of the Alpine jacket, and this definitely stands on its own, but you can see the similarity. The hood is a really fantastic detail on this jacket because it really strikes this duality between having something that really creates a cool presence and aesthetic choice on the jacket when the hood is off, but when it's on, it also kind of carries that energy as well. So in terms of functionality with the hood itself, yes, it has this really large stand collar, but then when you decide to don it on your head, you really have a wide range of facial protection by the collar itself becoming this orb, this halo that circles around your face, and it keeps a lot of rain and that type of thing off from the sides. The other thing is that while the hood is really large around your neck and then up on your head as well, you have the ability to fasten it down to your head using draw cords that are on the inside of the hood but on the outside as well, so you can really get it locked onto your head in the way that you want for those inclement conditions that you might be wearing this jacket in. I really like the hood overall. I think it's a fantastic feature. I think the only thing is that because of the funnel neck that it creates, you can't necessarily pull the hood on from just around your neck up onto your head without some struggle, so you almost always have to zip it down a little bit and then pull your head into the hood accordingly. You can't just put it on. Moving directly down from the hood, we have the logo tape as well as the mag tape. These are two things that show up on almost every Acronym jacket in some facet. The thing that's interesting about this one is that because this was a part of the collaboration, the logo tape has not only Acronym branding on it, but Nemen branding as well, so you get that cool little dichotomy. The mag tape on the left is for your headphones, and that's always a fun functionality to use. It's a double-edged blade on this jacket. The way that the collar sits because of the big funnel neck that the jacket creates, the mag tape actually can get a little bit hidden under the fabric of it itself. It muffins down on top of the mag tape, so in a way this is nice because if you're actually putting something onto the mag tape, the little extra bit of fabric kind of holds it on there even better. But that being said, it also makes it a little bit more difficult to just immediately take your headphones out and put it onto the mag tape. So you've got that double-edged blade there, but I like it overall. It's still fun to use. You can obviously customize it by switching mag tape from one side of the neck to the other, so on and so forth. It's there for you if you want it. Between these two pieces of Velcro where the tapes lie, we have the zipper of the jacket, and this is an EscapeZip jacket as mentioned in the description. The EscapeZip is an Acronym functionality that allows you to break the zipper up at the top portion of the jacket and peel it open instead of just unzipping the jacket in a more conventional way. I particularly like it on this jacket because the material is so light, it makes it really easy to pop it and just open the jacket completely because of the fabrication. It's kind of hard to describe, but the fabrication of the jacket makes it relatively easy to get the EscapeZip open. Like I mentioned in prior videos, I like to use the EscapeZip when I'm sitting down into a car or my body isn't completely prostrate, so I can't necessarily zip the jacket down in a more conventional manner. Being able to just pop it open like that is a fun functionality to use, but it's also a great party trick if you want to use it in that sense too. Moving out to the shoulders of the jacket, we see the thing that is a Acronym hallmark, which is their articulation that they implement into the shoulder seams of the jacket itself. Every jacket that Acronym creates tends to have a little bit of variation in terms of how they decide to implement the articulation onto the shoulders of the jacket itself. On this one, it's interesting in particular because the seam comes directly out from the armpit of the jacket, goes out towards the middle, the lateral portion of your arm, and then back in towards your elbow, but the inside part of your elbow, and then from there you've got a seam that runs around the entire length of your elbow. On top of this, you've also got some shoulder detailing on the back, just kind of showing the unique sort of paneling that they do to create this jacket in the first place. I find the articulation to always be a fantastic feature that is on an Acronym jacket. It gives the entire jacket a three-dimensional shape when it's hung up or in another format. But that being said, it also, it's what articulation is created for. It allows for a wide range of motion in the jacket with little movement on your body, so it feels like you're not really riding up or constricted in your own jacket. It's there to move alongside you. If we move down from the elbows back onto the body of the jacket, we can see the two hand pockets that the jacket has. These are two AquaGuard zip pockets that are a hallmark of Acronym as well, the AquaGuard zipper pockets. These pockets, kind of like the J27, are large and very in charge, and not only do they go to the front of the body where you can kind of rest them up against your belly, but the pockets also run to the very back of the jacket as well. So if you have something that you want to be putting in there that's relatively large or robust, you can put it towards the back of the jacket. I like to use this because sometimes I like to keep stuff in my jacket pockets, but then I also want to, keep my hands in there to keep them warm, cozy, that kind of thing. And it's annoying to kind of contest with keeping my hands up against my belly, but then also against whatever's in my pocket. So having them move to the back is just that added bit of convenience. On the inside of the left-hand pocket, we can also see the washing instructions and the care tag that all jackets have. This also is where the size large tag is, which is actually void of being on the inside of the jacket. It's only here on this inside pocket. While I'm on the subject of topics, I'm going to jump onto the inside of the jacket where you can see the inside pockets that this jacket actually has. The J43 has two inside jacket pockets that rest on either side of the body, both with AquaGuard zippers, just like the hand pockets. What makes these pockets really cool, and it's kind of one of the really cool little quirks that this jacket has, is that while they can be used typically like a normal inside coat pocket, what makes them really fun to use is the fact that while this is slung over your back in the jacket sling mode, you can use these pockets in its intended purpose, which is as pockets while the jacket is slung on your back. These are relatively easy to get to. The way that the jacket hangs over your shoulder makes one of the pockets relatively easy to get to, and then if you pull the jacket out ever so slightly, you can get to the left pocket really easy too. I absolutely love this. I think that it's fantastic, and even though it could be something that, is a little bit ham-fisted, it's not necessarily something that you're like, oh, that was just a completely intended idea. It doesn't necessarily read that way because of the way that it sits. I still really love to use these pockets while I'm in jacket sling format, as well as just normal, like a typical pocket. Okay, moving back to the outside of the jacket so I can finish up the details out there, we've got a pair of Velcro cuffs that are at the end of the sleeves. I think this is a good time to mention sizing. So this jacket is profile. It said that in the description of the jacket. And what that means is that the jacket really does have a more tight fit to it. With that in mind, I'm usually a medium, and sometimes I'm even a small in Acronym jackets. And this jacket is actually a size large, and I find it to fit me pretty great. That being said, even though it fits me great in the body and allows for layering and that kind of thing, the sleeves are really where I feel the large size, and they tend to be incredibly rectangular, but then also come down really far over my knuckle, practically covering my entire finger. So the Velcro cuffs are incredibly useful here, and especially with this really light fabrication, the lack of gravity pockets, it makes it really easy to be able to use these Velcro cuffs, get them to the size that I want, and not feel like I'm impeding myself from being able to get in or out of the jacket. I can kind of articulate it to my size, and we're good. Now that we've got the entire front part of the jacket out of the way, we can get onto the inside of the jacket and see the small details that we have there. So this jacket, like all other Acronym jackets, has a jacket sling system on the inside. If you're new to my videos, you might not be familiar with what a jacket sling is in the Acronym sense, but what it essentially is it's a 3-point system that Acronym develops so that you can take the jacket off and then sling it over your shoulder and be able to wear it on your back like a cape instead of having it on your body, or, you know, doing that thing where you like roll up your sleeves and then tie it around your waist and crumple the jacket up. This is just a really easy way of being able to don the jacket so that you don't necessarily have to wear it, but you can keep it on you. It's a lovely functionality. The jacket sling mount on the inside has little patches where all the little stitches that, you know, the jacket sling is attached to are mounted on top of, and I think that's really cool because by doing that, it doesn't puncture the actual shell of the jacket itself. It allows for a place where you can still have that water resistance, but it doesn't go through the jacket and make the seam weak necessarily. I hope that made some sense. The one thing that's kind of interesting though is that even though this is a relatively recent jacket, 2016 in particular, the jacket sling mount is only on the inside of the jacket, and this is even more interesting because the J43-K, the other jacket from the collaboration, actually has outside jacket sling mounts. I own that jacket. I loved keeping my sling on the outside, but this one doesn't have it. Still a great functionality regardless. You just don't get that customizability, I guess. If we go just up from the jacket sling, we can see the Acronym Mean tag that is sewn into the jacket. This is also relatively unique compared to other Acronym jackets because the Acronym tag is usually just that small rounded rectangular tag that has the hole punch, but this is a little bit more luxurious. It's of this silky cotton, it has the Made in Italy notification on it. It looks a lot more similar to the tags that they put on the inside of their Acronym bags compared to something that you would see on their more typical jackets. So it's a cool little detail. At the very hem of the jacket, we have the SpeedLock system. It is a functionality that allows you to be able to scrunch up the hem of the jacket and allow it to fit a bit more cropped or just a little bit tighter to the body if you're in inclement conditions or if you want to change up the silhouette of the jacket. The thing that I find interesting about this is that because this jacket has an Interops system and the hem is technically broken because it uses that medial zipper, this jacket has two shock cords, one that sits at the front of the jacket, but then also one that sits at the very typical left side of the body. This allows you to be able to cinch the jacket in every way possible, not just for that 3/4 portion of your body where a majority of the bungee wraps around. You can also get it in that small portion where, you know, it's disconnected from the rest. I like using the Shockcord on this jacket, and I think it's probably my favorite Acronym jacket that uses the Shockcord from my experience. The reason being is that because of the fabrication, the way that it muffins, the way that it looks when you decide to cinch it in at your waist, I think that the aesthetic of it overall is a lot more flattering compared to a more typical Gore-Tex shell or something that is a little bit more stiff. Because of the overall fluidity of this jacket, that muffin effect looks a lot more flattering and a lot more interesting. And I think that it can be utilized a lot differently because of the overall fabrication in conjunction with the Shockcord. The last thing that I want to mention on the inside of the jacket is the flap that works in conjunction with the Interops zipper that is on the outside. This flap is just that extra bit of protection from inclement conditions where if the water is hitting the outside zipper, it's not going to make it all the way through to your body. It's going to hit this flap first and, you know, just gives you that extra bit of protection. On top of this, it also keeps the cold, hard texture of the zipper from being directly up against your body and creating any discomfort that way if you're wearing a t-shirt or anything like that. So it's just doubling up in that sense. The flap also has two buttons that are at the hem of the jacket, which allows you to be able to button up the jacket while the Interops system is in use. And speaking of the Interops system, let's get into that because that is the last function on this jacket. If we go to the outside of the jacket, we can see this large lateral zipper that goes from the right side of the body up towards the, you know, right armpit. If you saw my J79 video, you might be familiar with what the Interops system is, or if you're like Acronym in general, you might be familiar with the Interops system. But if you are not, what the Interops system allows you to do is that if you have this jacket in particular or any other Acronym Interops jacket in particular stuffed into your preferably Acronym bag, what you can do is you can take the jacket out of said bag, you can unzip this zipper, and you can interface your bag with your jacket so that you can still have access to your bag while the jacket is donned on over said bag. This is a really cool functionality, and I kind of got into it a little bit with the J79 video, so I'm not going to go super in depth with it here, but it's just a hyper specific level of convenience that allows you to be able to not only get a little bit of extra water protection on your bag by, you know, being able to keep your rain jacket over your backpack, but it also allows you to be able to get this cool aesthetic prefaced by, you know, just having a bag that is interacting with your jacket and the kind of interesting quality that that has when, you know, they're together like that. I like this function a lot, especially in rainier situations, because it just looks nice, but then it also gives you that extra bit of water protection. At the very same time, you can't avoid the whole hunchback look that you get when you have the bag on under your jacket, but I mean, it doesn't really look that bad, and also in the context of walking around, that type of thing, it definitely doesn't look that bad. The one thing that I have to mention about the Interops system on this jacket, however, is the fact that other Acronym jackets that use Interops have some type of buttoning system so that you can still seal up the whole jacket while you're using this Interops system, because when your shoulder strap is going through, you can't zip it up all the way, but this jacket is devoid of that. What this essentially means is that you can't utilize that full tunnel neck collar that there is, or be able to cover up your chest portion while the Interops system is in use, but you can still don the hood, you can still do that type of thing. It's just a little qualm, if anything, that I have to make about the jacket, because, you know, you just can't zip it up all the way. So with that out of the way, that is all the details of the Acronym J43-K in the pistachio colorway. It's a relatively detailed light jacket compared to some of the other ones, and honestly I think that's kind of nice because I've been doing 45-minute videos. I want to make this one a little bit shorter, but with that out of the way, I can get into the styling of this jacket. Similar to my last video, I've got two outfits that I'm going to show you with this jacket compared to the last one, which was much more rain oriented. These outfits are a little bit more summer oriented, a little bit lighter, that kind of thing, so I hope you enjoy those. The first outfit that I've got going on is the jacket. I've got a Uniqlo Aerism tank, I've got some New Balance running shorts, and I've got these 11 by BBS Solomon collaboration white Speed Cross 3s. This outfit is very casual, it's not that manicured, and it's very kind of like runner core, if that's even a thing, but this is actually something that I go running in, and I actually kind of like the sort of overall athletic look that the fit has, but it doesn't necessarily look like I'm just going to be like a straight runner. It just has this sort of lively quality to it and a certain casualness to it as well, but it definitely feels a little bit more elevated compared to a more typical running outfit. All the colors have a chance to exist on their own. The green is a very nice pop that definitely leans towards being a little bit more of a militaristic green, so it has that more utilitarian nature to it, with black shorts and then the white shoes, and you get this cool sort of color contrast between the black, the white, and the green. It's a nice fit overall. And with the jacket sling as well, if it's hot like it was today, and that's the reason I made this outfit in the first place, I can utilize the jacket sling as well, and it still looks really cool because of the way that the colors work with each other and the overall sportiness that the fit has. So that's outfit number one. Outfit number two has had a little bit more effort put into it. This is the typical kind of way that I would wear this jacket in a more fashionable sense, but also, you know, the general kind of comfort that you get out of wearing Acronym products because of the, you know, range of motion, that kind of thing, blah, blah, blah. But we have the jacket, we have the same Uniqlo Aerism tank, we've got the P27H DSs, the Acronym Vapor Maxes in the Matrix colorway. I don't know what the original name of that colorway is. And we've also got the Acronym 3A1L2, the bag. So this is just pretty much Acronym all the way down sans Uniqlo Aerism tank. I really like this outfit. I think that this is a super futuristic, fun looking outfit. I've been playing a lot of vintage video games lately, like Jet Set Radio and SSX Tricky, and the thing that I really like about this outfit, as corny as it sounds, is that this kind of feels nostalgic to me in a way, because this feels like a very video gamey kind of futuristic, yes, but also kind of quirky look to it with the greens and the sort of like super future look that it has with the glasses and all that kind of stuff. So I like it overall for that reason. The bagginess of the crotch, really neon green shoes that kind of clash with the jacket but also don't, which is something that's really cool. And the bag that kind of ties it all together in a weird way. I think that it has a really cool sort of cohesion to it, and I like it overall for those reasons. So that's the fits, that's the details, the history, all that stuff, and without further ado, let's just do a quick rundown on the pros and cons. Pros of this jacket. The color on this jacket is fantastic. The way the dyeing process creates this texture and this really kind of interesting rustic look is awesome. And the sort of wabi-sabi that it has by, you know, shifting and color moving over time because of the dyeing process is great. And it really kind of switches up the sort of mundaneness that an all black wardrobe can have, which is pretty typical for, I don't know, tech wear or Acronym dudes. This color shift is just great for that reason. And in that very same respect, it can be utilized in other outfits and other less technical stuff as well too. So there's that. The cut and fit on this jacket is great, and it's simple as well. A lot of other Acronym jackets can be very complicated, which can, you know, not necessarily be the most fun thing to use at times. So having something that's a little bit more simple, a little bit easier to use is fantastic. The lightweight nature of this jacket is great to use in spring and summer conditions. I know many people kind of complain that they only can wear their Acronym stuff during the fall and winter because they've invested in all the rainproof stuff that isn't really as breathable, but because of the light nature of this jacket, it makes it relatively easy to wear in warmer situations, not super warm situations, but you can definitely use it in a slightly warmer climate and be completely fine. So those are my 3 pros, and let's get into a few of the cons. The first thing that comes to mind is the fact that I can't necessarily button the jacket up all the way because of the way that the Interops system is utilized on this jacket. Not being able to get a full range of protection on the front part of the chest because I can't really get, you know, this part closed is a little bit annoying, and I can't deny that, but it is what it is. Second con is the overall fragility of this fabric. While the jacket is not fragile by any means in a majority of situations, the fact that this jacket can stain really easily from typical household products or other stuff or coffee or like that kind of thing can make you feel like you have to baby the jacket. I said it earlier, but I just want to reiterate it now. The final thing that I want to mention is the kind of overall water resistance of this jacket. I don't know if I went over it at all during the fabrication description, but the water resistance on this jacket is good. It's definitely good, but it's not fantastic. It's not like Windstopper, it's not like Pro Shell obviously or anything like that. So if you're using this as your go-to rain jacket, it's not really going to be the best thing that you can get. It's a little bit more effective than Stoats, but it's not really like the cream of the crop in terms of water resistance, even though it is a 3-layer membrane still. So that is the J43-K from the Nemen Acronym collection in the pistachio colorway. This is episode 8. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate all the love and support for the series so far. I'm glad I'm able to make these videos for you guys. I just hopped into summer break, that kind of thing. Well, I mean, I just graduated, so this is going to be a long summer break, but I have a lot more time to make these videos. I'm going to dedicate more time to doing so, so stay tuned for the stuff that I have in the future. Still got stuff in the pipe, so more videos are on the way. Now that I've got all that out of the way, thank you guys for watching. Once again, stay tuned as always, and stay whatever.